Hello, welcome. This is the 9th video in my series of videos on high performance using the subconscious mind. I developed this from training I had in coaching, life coaching, sports mind coaching, and NLP. In my efforts to work my way out of burnout. Burnout is a pretty nasty thing. It destroyed my life at the time, and it destroyed my businesses. Well, my businesses failed because I wasn't able, as a result of the burnout, to manage them. Okay, so subconscious brain. It sounds scary. It's something you use all the time. The problem, if there is a problem, is that nobody talks about the subconscious brain. They just talk about doing what you have to do, consciously being alert and focusing on what you're doing. That is what causes stress. Why? Because the world we live in is a place that generates an enormous amount of stress. It's simply that, because of the demands of our jobs today. And the only thing we use is our conscious brain, thinking, what can I do next? How can I do this better? Am I doing well enough? Or I just don't care. That's what a lot of people seem to be doing, because they find it too stressful to do anything else. Well, I can't say that I've got news for you, because I've talked about it in every one of my videos so far. The fact is that the subconscious brain is infinitely more powerful than the conscious brain. It's like 5G on a mobile telephone compared to 1G. Oh, actually, it's infinitely greater than that. It's like 50,000 G compared to 1G. It is so powerful. The staggering thing is that nobody talks about it, except a few coaches like me, high performing or high performance subconscious mind coaches. The sad thing is, as I said, very few people think about their subconscious mind. Thinking about the mind and the brain is practically taboo. And that is such a tragedy, because we do use our subconscious mind all the time, and we don't realize it. I mentioned before in videos, when you go home from work, you do that automatically. You don't think about it. And therefore there's no real stress, unless of course you're late. But that late is a state of mind. I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. It is the thing that pushes you and creates the stress. If you manage yourself on time, leave on time, don't do that extra letter or that extra filing that you're being pushed to do, and you leave on time and you go and catch your usual train on time, you're in time at the station or the bus stop or whatever. And so everything works smoothly, and you get on the bus and you look at your iPhone and or mobile telephone, and it all works, and you really don't or aren't particularly conscious of thinking about your stop, when to get off the bus or the train. It's all very habitual. Habit is out of the subconscious mind. The greater the habit, the greater the ease you do it without having to think about it, the more it's coming out of the subconscious mind. Now, the way we develop subconscious mind habit is by repeating. Repeat, 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 repeat. Now, if, for example, you keep missing the train or the bus in the morning, it's because in your repeat habit there is an error. There's a mistake there somewhere. And it could be something like you don't really want to go to work, so you are deliberately late leaving home. That means you're late getting to the station. That means you're in a rush to run to the train before it leaves the station, or the bus or whatever, or you have to catch the next bus or next train and you're late, and then you have to apologize and make excuses, and that is stress. And you are responsible, that we are responsible for doing those things. However, if, for example, I remember standing on a station where everybody had to get off the train because there was an accident, and therefore the train stopped. And I was standing on the platform with a bunch of other people going to work in London, and one man was complaining that the trains are always late, and I said, well, I've never really bothered about it. You know, a few minutes late, okay, so what? Sometimes it's a few minutes early. So he was complaining bitterly that his train was always late, and he would get to work late, and he didn't like that. So I said, why don't you take the earlier train? I happened to know that there was a train 10 minutes earlier. He said, why should I? This train should get to work to the station on time for me to get to work in time. So I said, okay, fine, but you understand that there is a perpetual problem of the trains being late, and that's because there are too many trains on the track. So the moment there is a hold up, it backs up, and then the later trains are late. So why not catch the 10-minute earlier train? He looked at me with very, very angry eyes, turned around and walked away. Well, one man's logic is another man's stress. So he was clearly very stressed because I'd faced him with something that was so easy to do. But he made that same error every day, leaving on time to get the train that he knew was going to be late, that was going to get him late to work. And that's how we build errors into our habits. And that's how habits can become very stressful, but we don't really understand why. And it can be something as simple as that, as demanding that trains or buses run to time. We know they don't run to time, so let's be a little bit more flexible. And that's what life is all about. And that is what about high performance is all about. And the thing is that the conscious mind is so overloaded, it has great difficulty to be flexible. Whereas the subconscious mind is far from overloaded. The thing we have to understand about working with the subconscious mind, creating habitual behaviors on demand, and that habitual behavior may be high performance, is that we write the high performance specifically to do or to help us to do a specific job on time, in the right way, with complete satisfaction. And the writing of those new habits or new programs, subconscious mind programs, that become, well, once they're installed, once they are written up in the subconscious mind, they are there until we choose to delete them or change them. And so it's very important that we ensure that when preparing these new performance programs or habits, behaviors, is that there are no errors, like the guy who kept being or arriving at the station for the 8:15 train when he could have taken the 8:05 train. The 8:05 train would have got him to work on time, but he insisted on taking the 8:15 train because the timetable said that it would arrive on time for him to get to work. Those can be the silly little mistakes that constantly drive us into making mistakes. Now, when we write perfect programs, behavior programs, it's the reason why golfers can drive a golf ball to within inches of the hole, or right into the cup itself. And they can do it many times. The slight error between landing 2 feet from the cup or actually in the cup is a variation of probability and conditions, weather conditions, that make it slightly less than perfect. Nonetheless, it's as good as it can be. A hole-in-one from 300 meters is pretty damn good. If you get a hole-in-two, that's not bad. You can't complain about that. It's probably below par. It could be 2 below par. So who's grumbling? Okay, but so the point here is that there is a degree of perfection between getting a 2 par as opposed to something better. And that kind of perfection is what I do in the form of creating high performance subconscious mind automatic behaviors. Because once they are set in the subconscious mind, they become automatic. It's all in my book, High Performance After Burnout. Fix the stress before the damage is done. It's available at Amazon.com. I give a lot of the 360 pages in here of explanations about stress and burnout, how they work, what they are, what they do to us, how they do it to us, and how we can avoid them. But the next step is how we can create high performance which doesn't have any stress, and therefore we can perform at a very high level without stress, without the fear of stress. And when we begin to do that continuously, then our lives are on a very steady upward climb, and there's no stress in doing it. So, until the next video, this is Robert Denton signing off.